The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Matter of fact, the grass, you will only find that green, luscious green pasture within you. Hi. So there's your title too, by the way. Um, so um, I was once in a situation where I had already learned this lesson, but it's like the father. Sometimes the father wants to reinforce, to drive it home. Like one last good whack of understanding. It's like you won't forget it now. you know, kind of a thing, or just really just like covering all of the angles and possibilities for doubt, because he's gonna have you go somewhere where you there ain't gonna be any time for you to have doubts on certain things that you need to know as certainties. So you think you have learned a lesson, and you're like, oh, I pretty much got this down, father. But then he'll be like, well, he won't tell you about it. That's also that's the funny thing about the father. He'll have you find yourself in this situation for growth. So um, there was a point in time I had already learned many lessons in the big city, and I had learned that there's nothing new under the sun. At least I thought I had learned that. That I hadn't found any man that had claimed the name of Yah, claimed the name of the Father, with true certainty and real understanding, without an agenda or motive of worldly gains. I don't know if I put that together correctly, but basically, I hadn't found. It was disappointment after disappointment after me putting my heart in, because I'm a passionate individual. I only put my heart forward in anything that I do. If I'm there, I'm there. I'm not half-ass. I'm not there just getting things. No, I'm there. The moment that I feel that I'm like, I'm just not. I'm not gonna be a hindrance. I'll remove myself from the situation. I because the Father's watching. And there's another command there that tells you, to do everything as if unto the Father. Whether it's a job or whatever it may be. So that's a lesson that I have truly learned. I try to, and not to say that I'm perfect. We all make mistakes, and I've had to catch myself several times to be like, what the hell am I doing? I need to honor uh, whatever agreement I have before me, and I'll remind myself whenever that happens. But the reality is that uh that whenever I present myself, I'm there. So I have given myself uh to the Father's lessons, because that's what they are. Because there really hadn't been situations that I wasn't led by the Spirit of the Father. uh I that's something that I for sure know. And but I found myself in a dark place, still living in the big city, still in the 9 to 5, so to speak. Only it was an overnight shift, not really doing things that I'm passionate about, just paying bills, not really seeing a way out at the end of the tunnel. Just kind of falling into a place of darkness where I can no longer. I don't even feel like I don't even feel like I can go to a church and find uh, authenticity there. I don't really feel like I can find that now either. But at that time, it was harder. It was heavier in my heart. And seeing the society the way that, just everything that we're still seeing to this day, even worse now, even more noticeable now. But I was in a very dark place. I started get go downhill, and mind you, I'm like, at that point in time, I'm like, I still have a family. The Father had already blessed me with a great wife, and two sons, and I'm there, just trying not to quit, if anything, they were the tools that the Father utilized to keep me from quitting, but anyways, eventually, uh, something comes to my attention that there are individuals that are outside of the form of living of the big city, outside, let's just say the countryside, whatever, different different group of folks, folks that seem to be more centric around uh, freedoms of that, you know, for lack of a better term, the illusion of freedoms that this country wants, the United States wants portrayed to have, and these folks seem to want and understand that we need to come together and make a way. Ooh, almost got me. Make a way outside of the hustle and bustle of the 9 to 5, uh, big city uh, lifestyle. So I I started to gravitate towards that ideology. I didn't even know it was a thing at that time. At that time, I didn't even know that this was a possibility. I didn't know that folks like these even existed. So it was when I did, it was a shine. It was a shine of hope, you know. And granted, like remember, like whether you know it or not, the Father is always at work. The Father is always at work, and there are lessons that the Father will not uh, tell you that they're lessons until you have gone through them and you have learned the lesson. That's just it's just how he works. So there I am. I'm getting convicted of things that I hadn't gotten convicted before. Certain things, not a lot of things, but certain things, and and I'm starting to gravitate towards the ideology and seeking those folks that had this ideology, and come to find out that there's a good amount of these folks, and so not thinking of being part of any group or anything like that. I start I start heeding the word of the Father and trying to, and mind you, like I have gotten a light version of this conviction of getting out of the big city years before that, but it wasn't the Father's timing, which I have spoken about the importance of the Father's timing. So it was a quote unquote failed attempt, but there are no real failures when you're with the Father. They're just lessons, and and so whatever, me and my wife, we started a journey of like saving money, and every year we would try to, even every 6 months we'd try to take a trip to a different southern state that we thought, we use our logic and we thought would be a decent state for us to venture out to, so or to have that lifestyle that we both started feeling convicted of having, right? Not thinking of getting with any specific group or anything like that. Eventually, long story short, eventually, we come to a halt where we've tried and tried and tried, and nothing, crickets from the Father. It's like we don't know. I don't know where we're going. I don't know where to be. All I have is this conviction that we need to get out, but I don't know where to be, And I already had learned my lesson from the years before of making that mistake, and going where I thought it was and it wasn't. So we just kept praying, praying, praying. Eventually, when once we were at our peak's end, and my wife was already like disillusioned and things. She was a wreck, and so was I. And I was just basically just praying every day, just crying to the Father, asking him for some clarity. Just I basically, literally, my prayer was like, just show me a pin drop on the map, you know. And so eventually, he gave me that. He gave me that visual representation. He told me, boom, right there. And for the sake of OPSEC, or it's not really necessary to say where that was, but uh, boom, there we are. We landed there, right? Landed at the new place outside, a whole different scenario, a whole different uh, you know form of living, completely different than the big city hustle and bustle, uh, much less traffic. Uh, just the people are different, just a different type of lifestyle altogether, which is what we were hoping for inside of us, and then we end up being part of a certain group of folks that happen to portray the same lifestyle that the Father was giving us conviction of, all by, uh, for lack of a better word, happenstance. But it wasn't really a coincidence. It's more like we were spirit led to do this, So there we were, you know, and and it's funny because in my understanding and my logic and videos and things that I had seen of these folks portraying themselves to be, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say portraying, presenting themselves to be, um, the kind of folks that are seeking the outside of the hustle and bustle 9 to 5 separation from the world that the devil uh, makes us slave to, the world that we have been born in, by you know by just the way things are. Um, you come to find out that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, you know, and then the Father starts to show me that there are very much a lot of similarities, the same similarities with the folks that I once opened my heart to in the big city, and you find that folks, and it's not to say that a lot of folks, I don't believe they do it out of malice. I've also came to understand that there's a lot of folks that don't really do things out of malice, but more out of ignorance. And the ignorance is like the word says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. What is that knowledge? Is the knowledge of the kingdom of heaven. It's the knowledge that the kingdom is within you. It's the knowledge of that there's the two different types of currencies. There's the currency of this world, and which is the currency of Satan, and the currency of the kingdom of Yah. You know, and that is not something that you learn overnight. So I had to make peace with that and be understanding of that factor. So I don't hold any type of grudges or anything like that, because I understand what I understand. Yeah, does it hurt? Does it bother you when your heart drops and you realize that you're probably alone in this understanding? And I know I'm not. I know that there's other folks, but the Father hasn't quite it's not quite ready to bring us together just yet. But I know that there's other folks out there that comprehend the depth of how I'm speaking. But but you come to that conclusion, and the Father teaches you these lessons. That that hey, you thought you knew, but here you go, so that you know that you know that you know not to lay your heart, any part of your heart, in the idea that other men are going to be your saviors. You understand? It's so that you know that you know that you know that your help, your aid comes from Yah and Yah alone. Okay? And that it doesn't matter what hands of flesh he may use uh, uh, to bless you or to come to an aid per se. It's not really their aid, it's his aid. And so I learned that lesson in if what I believe now in its entirety, because I have seen it all in the big city and out in the countryside. So the grass isn't always greener on the other side, because the Father's trying to get you to realize that the pasture can only be green and pure from within you first. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Remember, Yeshua, Jesus, Jehovah, saying that the Christ, our Messiah, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Tear down this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it. He was talking about you realizing who you are in spirit and truth. He was talking about you realizing that you are not of this world. Remember him saying that? My kingdom is not of this world. He was trying, he was trying to show you the differences between the kingdom of Yah and the kingdoms of man. And I know little by little, these words are resonating, and they're starting to tingle up there. I know they're starting to tingle, but you don't quite yet grasp, and that's okay. I'm gonna keep saying it until it does, because that's what the Father told me to do. So it's not about getting upset. It's not about you your flesh is gonna feel it, because it has to, in order to create a ripple in your brain, in order to create an understanding. You have to feel the depth of that reality. So your flesh will definitely jump and feel the disappointments, and feel the letdowns, and feel the what even feels like lies at times, and feel the all of the emotions, and that come with these types of lessons. But after that, he pacifies you. After that, he says, he basically uh, rubs your head and says, "It's okay, kid. It's okay. I was just teaching you this lesson. It's okay. They're they're no different than you are. They're just where I have them. I need them to be there for now. Because if I didn't have them there now, I couldn't raise someone like you to do what you're going to do down the line. I needed you to learn that lesson, and I needed them. Like Jesus needed Judas. And this may sound rough, right? But Jesus still called Judas friend. You say, why did Jesus call Judas friend? And I mean, did Jesus not know? Of course he knew. There's nothing hidden from Jesus. He was the son and personification of the almighty creator of all, right? Of course he knew Judas was the betrayer, but he still called him friend. He needed Judas to do what he did. Judas was allowed. Judas was placed as one of the 12, as one of the chosen ones, the disciples, on purpose to do exactly what he was going to do. I don't know anything about the rest of his fate down the line. I'm not going to pretend that I do and speak on it, but as far as Jesus's purpose and the illustration, there is purpose for folks, uh, even those that hurt you. There's purpose for it. And if there's sometimes, and I'm led to say this now, and it's outside of what I thought this video was going to go, but it's obviously related. There's some things that happen to us, and I know I've said this before. There's some things that happen to us even in our earlier age when we were young that are difficult, and it's hard for us to conceive. Man, if God is so good, why this? And and even those things, even more so when those things are a reality, especially at an early age, it's because the devil knows that there is great purpose, and in growing up after the damage is done, our purpose is to find God, to find Yah through that pain, and utilize it as fuel, utilize it as the fuel necessary to get to the level of spiritual growth, to the spiritual maturity necessary for us to carry through the reason of why the Father made us in the first place. So to those that have ears, bless you guys. Um, yeah, uh, try to wrap your head around. Ask the Father. Take everything. Whatever you hear, anyone that claims the name of the Father, take everything in prayer, in your quiet place with the Father. Take everything to the Father. You know, ask him, what is this guy talking about? What were you trying to tell me? If this guy is for real, or whoever, talk to the Father. The more time you spend with the Father, the more he reveals to you, because he sees that you're putting your effort forward. You know, we seem to forget sometimes. We get caught up in the. I've been using this a lot. I don't know why. Hustle and bustle. And we forget to reach out. This happens to me myself. We forget to just spend that time, to give that time to our Creator, and to allow Him and to give Him the space necessary for Him to reveal things to us. So, and sometimes he just wants to let us speak to Him. There's nothing you can tell the Father. There's nothing He doesn't already know. But just because He already knows doesn't mean that He doesn't want you to communicate with Him. So, bless you guys. Find that green pasture within you, and stop trying to find it in someone else. Bless you.